Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and a link in the info box once the video has rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number one, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show, as sharing the show increases the live audience, of course, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you are new to the channel or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, all that being said, we are actually joined by Anthony Riley via Skype to do a quick presentation before I go to the Hangout, which is behind it, so I may go to that a little bit later and actually get some participation from the public. But in the meantime, hopefully Anthony Riley can hear me. How are you doing, Anthony?
I'm doing good. I appear to be getting over my little flurry of a cold. Getting better.
All right, I'm still very ill, so I'll hand over to you, and hopefully you'll take us through. You are on screen, so take it away.
Excellent. All right, so Al-K has done his released his video sometime last night. I think I had to have an early night because I didn't feel that great, and it's measuring the step. And I'll just be clear from the start where my focus and interest is. It's not about miles. It's about 20% down to Al-K himself and 80% to do with the rumpus. Because I'm most interested in whether the rumpus's calculation when he did this deduced horizon nonsense, which was, where is it? It's along here somewhere there. Rumpus made this deduced horizon thing. I've lost it. Hang on, it'll come to me. And I'm most interested whether my original 20-degree calculation or measurement was accurate and whether there was any justification to add an extra 10 degrees to it based on this forged, faked, deduced horizon nonsense. Now, he quotes that there was 57 feet in length, and that was from the top of the hill using a tape measure, and it was down to this point. This is what it actually read on the actual thing. So 57 feet with a 20 degree angle, that's what was measured. Now, as I say, he put an extra 10% on, or sorry, 10 degrees on, and then compensated on the grounds of this deduced horizon malarkey, which he based it on this angle going down here, this little bit. But the problem is this is land that's going down to the sea. So even if he managed to get this deduced horizon perpendicular or parallel to this, which he didn't, but even if he did, this is land that's on a slope going down to the sea, and it's got no credible reference point whatsoever. So that in itself discredits what he's done. Because he's such an idiot, he thinks that this is the sea and it's the horizon, but you can clearly see it rises and it drops because this is the land coming down to the sea. But nonetheless, that's what he based his deduced horizon on, and which then added 10% to this, 10 degrees to this, and it's nonsense. And I called it nonsense, and I called him a faker, an evidence manipulator. You name it. I've called it the rumpus. So my focus is really 20% on Al, 80% on the credibility of the rumpus doing this adjustment to try and discredit me and support Miles the Liar Davis in the process. And it doesn't go very well, to be honest with you. I'll start with the history of it, a little bit of history on it and the clips that are relevant. Miles actually agrees with me that my measurement is okay. So when I measured the hill at 20 feet.
Anthony has measured the height of that bank at 19.5 feet. I don't dispute the measurement that he got. I accept the measurement that he got, and I say that in this particular video clip.
So at this point, Miles is not in the picture. Miles is not anywhere in the focus. Along the way, Al made this comment.
And as I say, that's 16.5 feet. So this should give you the idea that you're talking about. If you were just taking a rough guess at the height, just standing at the step here, you're going to have to say to yourself, well, minimum 20 feet, probably 20 something feet. real.
So realistically speaking, Al said minimum 20 feet, 20 something. We measured it, and I agreed entirely with what he said because we measured it. Granted, it wasn't down to the concrete step, but the difference is only this bit. So, like, if you say that's a foot, we measured it to 19.5 feet using 20 degrees and the 57-foot hypotenuse. So if you add the foot on for the bit that I've not got, that takes you down to the step, which is 20.5 feet, which I'm happy with. That is what Al said, and we measured it, and I agreed with Al. The problem is this measurement here, and Al making that claim. Al said that I took him out of context because I didn't. I dishonestly misquoted him. Well, no, that is what he actually said. But the problem that Al and Miles have is that when we were there the day that Al was there, I'm amazed that Al's not in the shot, actually, but Ranty and I took this composite picture of all the hills, and the intention was to measure this hill and we're alongside the caravans, and then this hill, because Ranty likes putting a ruler on, and all he wanted to do was put the ruler on and see whether or not he could get it similar and whatnot. It was a tangent, but nonetheless, we had this composite, and what it allowed us to then get from the composite, by sheer and utter fluke, there was a gent that was stood right next to the marker point, and that's not me. It's this guy here who's with this woman. Now I don't know this guy, but he saw that we were stood out there, and he's obviously having a look at what we're doing. And he just so happened to be stood next to this post. This post has got like a triangle thing on the top of it, and it's at the bottom of this wooden thing that comes down. Now, this has turned out to be incredibly useful because this woman here is obviously 5'6", 5'5"-ish, whatever. He's significantly taller than her. Just for easy maths, let's say he's 6 foot. This will give you an idea of the importance of the hill, the height of the hill. Because if the guy's head just peeps above there, I mean, that's kind of where his ankles would be when he's on the video. But you've got 6, you've got 12, and you've got 18 feet. And then you've got a little bit at the bottom, which would be 19 or 20 feet, and then the little bit at the top, 20.5. It supports the position, right? But the scale's important here because you can see that the height of the hill takes up almost all of the calculation. The rest of it, which is basically to the top of these rocks where this concrete slab is, down to this rock, that's the remainder that we're talking about for where Miles was above water. Now, Al's claimed it was like up to 20 feet, or minimum of 20 feet, and we agreed. But for Miles's original assertion of 40 feet above actual water level to be accurate, he needs that distance again down here. So basically the water would have to be down here for that to be representative of what Miles was saying. And even then that isn't enough. It needs to be down to this black line because if that's 20 feet there or thereabouts, you need another 20 feet and then that would take you down to this line. So basically, Miles's original claim of 40 feet above actual water level would actually put the water level down here somewhere. Okay, that's the scale that we're talking about, and it's scale that ballers are lying about, and this is where the issue is with Al and the rumpus. So again, you got 6, 12, 18 plus a little bit, 20 takes you down to the concrete slab. When we were there that day, me and Ranty, when we ran into Al. Once he got over his seizure, epileptic attack, whatever it was that he had, we bought him dinner and we sat him down and we were talking. And I said to him, the weather's not good enough today to get any observations done. However, I knew he had a little laser tool, which was great for measuring lengths. And I said, okay. I said, well, do me a favor, measure the height of the hill. I said, do it from waist height at the top, which is representing the tripod. I said, and do it down to the slab. That's what I want you to do. And because I want to validate his 16.5 foot claim, because he said it was 20 feet. So he agreed, and I was very clear with him. I wanted it from the top of the hill, well, waist height, from waist height, top of the hill, down to the slab. And he agreed to do it, and I was very clear, and he knew exactly what he was doing. I'm now going to play the clip. I'm going to speed the clip up because it doesn't need to be at slow speed because he plays it like 2 or 3 times with different cameras. I don't really know why he did that. I guess it's to make it look more comprehensive. And I'll turn the sound off because we don't need the sound because I can just talk us through it while I do it. So we should now have the clip in question, which is Al at the top of the mound. Now Al knows that he's supposed to be doing this from waist height, which is for the camera to represent the tripod. And you can see the cliff, the slab that he's going down to, and he knows he's got to measure this. So he's measuring it. He's measuring it towards the back, which it's going to change the length of the hypotenuse a little bit, but fundamentally it doesn't make any difference. At this point, Al is doing things correct. Now, what he's meant to do next, he's now got the measurements, and he basically gives the same the measured length that we got. And, you know, I'm fine with that. It was a little bit out, and it's probably worth remeasuring it again, but it is what it is. I'm fine with the length that he's got. But what he's next meant to do is show a diopter. If he's going to use diopter to measure the angle, he needs to show the diopter angle. Otherwise, we can't do the trig to work out what his actual height is, and he doesn't show us the diopter angle. And what he says on the video is that he's now going to go down there with the tape measure to double check the length of it, and he's then going to do the diopter from the bottom. So I'm expecting him to walk down, put the tape measure on the slab at the bottom, and then measure the angle coming up, because that's what he said he was going to do. But watch what he actually does. So he's trying to he's making sure his P900 is zoomed in, so he gets that. That's fine. So remember, he's meant to be going down to measure, put the tape on the slab. Oh, he's not doing the slab. I don't know why he's not doing the slab. He actually said in the video that he was going to go down and measure the angle, measure the thing with the tape measure to validate his measurements, and then do the diopter angle reading up. That's what he said he was actually going to do. And look where he's doing it. He's not doing it to where it's supposed to be. Problem is, this is like 3 feet, I don't know. I'm not going to guess a number, but this is not at the same height, and this doesn't validate the claim that he originally made. Remember, he said it was about 20 feet from where he had that rod up to the top of the hill. So by doing what he's doing here, he is not validating or disputing or refuting the claim that he was making. And it was the one thing that I asked him to do, I was very clear on, and he hasn't done it. So why he's doing this, I have no idea, but he comes back at the end of the video, and I've looked through the video, and I've not really looked at everything, but he's claimed at the end of the video that his target was the slab, and he measured it with the laser, and he got 64 feet. Okay. Where's the evidence for that bit, though? Because he's claiming it's 26.5 degrees. Now, I don't get why he's done this without showing it in the footage, because this is like the most important critical part. Because when it comes to the rumpus has done the this calculated distance, which let me get back to it. Where is it? In here somewhere.
Passed it twice.
Have I? I'm looking for the rumpus's bit. There it is.
Just passed it. There you go.
Yeah, I'll make that a little bit bigger so I don't keep losing it, because it's an important part. Right, there we go. So basically, for Al doing what he's doing right now, Al is either confirming that I was correct or proving that I was wrong, right? And it's all to do with what was the measured angle. Now, he's using diopter. Now, I didn't have diopter at the time, and I probably wouldn't use diopter again, because I think it's better to get yourself a vertical, which, by the way, when the Rumpus did this compensatory deduced horizon nonsense, he picked a frame that I didn't use for the actual measurement. It was corrected in the video, and it was vertical. On this point, it wasn't vertical, so he's used this as the excuse. But nonetheless, by Al doing what Al's supposed to be doing at this point is getting the hypotenuse, and he says in his video he's going to go down, he's going to remeasure it with the tape, and then he's going to get the angle. But when he actually goes down to do it, look at what he actually does, and it's like, if I did this, there would be mayhem, right? This isn't acceptable. This is not what he was supposed to be doing. It's not what he said he was going to do in his video, and it swerves the main point. What's the angle down to there? Al, why did you not measure what you said you were going to do in the video? You were supposed to be measuring this angle here to tell us what the height was above for the hill. And the reason why that's important is because when it comes down to the claim of Miles, let's go back to that. Miles claimed he was 40 feet above actual sea level. Now, we measured this at 20.5. And if Miles's claim above sea level was correct, it would take him down to the black line that's here, and the water level was just below where this rock was. So this is 20 feet, but Al was supposed to be measuring it right and giving us the angle to be able to do the trig. And he has, for whatever reason, he said he was going to go down there, measure it with his tape, measure it with the angle, and record it. And for whatever reason, he hasn't done it. And that is terrible, because now we don't know what it actually was. And that was the one thing I asked him to do. I was dead clear about it, and he hasn't done it. But he's then done what Miles has done, which is claimed that he has measured it, and he's got it to 26.5 degrees. That is the most critical part of the whole video, because it shows either that I got my original calculation wrong, or that the Rumpus was actually dishonest to change it. But there's no evidence in the video of this 26.5 degrees. And we can see by his own video that he didn't actually record that. We can see that he went down and kind of walked past the point where he was supposed to remeasure it and then do the angle. He walked past it and didn't measure it at all. So it's like, well, where's the 26.5 degree angle come from? Have you guessed it? Have you got any evidence of it? And if you have got evidence of it, Al, why is it not in your video? Because you said in this video that that's what you were going to do. You were going to go down, you were going to measure the height, the tape, the hypotenuse, you were going to measure it, and you were going to take the angle. But what you actually did was you went down, you walked past the point that you were meant to be measuring, and it looked like you were going to do it. But you then measured it from the back point, some arbitrary point at the back, and I have no idea why you're doing it from there, because it's not what the point was. So I don't really get it, Al. Why did you not do what you said you were going to do? That angle was critical because it shows that either I was wrong with my measurement or the rumpus was dishonest. Now, from that angle there, I want to see what it should have been, Al. Why did you not do it? Why did you not show it on the picture, in your video, even though you said you were going to do it? Come on, Al, that's not fair. You should have measured what you said you were going to do in the video the way you said you were going to do it. You fluffed it.
And can I add one little detail here?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can or not scroll down to his roundup.
Scroll down to his roundup?
So
you mean from the video?
Maybe you can't because of the way you've just chopped out a bit of it, which is fine. In his roundup, he makes the conclusion that the water level is below the rock that he has, that he does a similar laser measurement on. So he measures to this rock and says the water's below this rock. Oh, here we go. There we go. Can you see what it says? The rock is used as a fixed guide and sits above the actual water level. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to my photos so I can bring up my video. I won't steal your thunder for long, I promise.
Steal it, I've made my point.
Okay, well I'm just going to play a little clip. So hopefully the audience can see. I'll just hit play.
Trying to get this folk is watching shot.
5 to 12.
5 to 12.
High tide is at, what is it, 12:15. So Miles is a lying sack of shit then. Because look at this, there's no fucking way that's anywhere near what he said. It's much higher.
Now, as you can see,
And this isn't even at a high tide yet.
we're not quite at high tide. Just get it to a point where it stops.
Yeah. So we're here at.
That's it. Yeah, so that was all it. Yeah, but the point is, this.
So yeah, so you can probably see that this rock is definitely not below the waterline, as claimed by Al-K when he does his little extrapolation. So I'll just go back to my photos and get rid of this screen. Bear with me a second. So yeah, when someone in the chat at the beginning of the show was like, 43 feet, bitches, it's like, what the hell are you talking about? You know, he's just done an extrapolation based on nonsense, and I've gone and checked it, and no, his claims are completely bogus. I was quick to point out in his comments as well that ultimately Miles was at the highest tide of the week.
Yeah. So the conclusion for the criticism, Al, is that you said you were going to do something in your video like 3 seconds before you started walking down the hill, and somewhere between walking down the hill and getting to the bottom of the hill, you seem to have forgotten what you were going down to be doing, and you just didn't measure the angle, and you didn't give us the information that would have told what the height of that hill was, and then either showed that I was inaccurate with my actual measurement of the angle, or showed that your friend the rumpus was a lying sack of shit. So why didn't you not do it? And even if you've got it now, you didn't put it in your video, and that was the one piece of evidence that was required to see the truth. Did I get my measurements inaccurate, or was the rumpus wrong to manipulate it? Now it just means that I'll go back and I'll remeasure it with Dioptra, I'll measure it with a different device, I'll measure it with a spirit level, and I'll take the average of the three measurements that I get. But it's about 20 feet. It's about 20 degrees. It's nowhere near 30. You put 26.5, yet didn't show it in your video, despite saying that you were going to. And I don't know how you managed to get that evidence, because if you were as comprehensive as what you say you were by recording it on many different devices all at once, where did that angle come from? Because you didn't take it, you didn't show it, you didn't record it, you didn't measure it. So did you guess it? did you deliberately push it up towards that value to make it look good? Well, 20% against Al, and the rest of it's aimed at Rumpus. So Al's not give us the information that we needed, and he didn't really prove who was correct. He didn't prove whether I was inaccurate or whether the Rumpus's deduced horizon was good, which is a shame, really, because that's really what I was focusing on. I wasn't really interested in miles anymore. I'm satisfied that that hill is 20.5 feet, but, you know, it is what it is. So...
Good stuff. So the Hangout is open. It has been for a while. I don't know if people realise maybe no one's trying to join while you were on Skype. Who knows? But yeah, feel free to join. Be sure to mute the page you are currently watching before you click the link. Be sure not to swear if you join. If you'd like to support the channel, simply click the super chat or the link below the video once the video has rendered. Been joined by Ranty. Can you hear us, Ranty?
Good morning.
Good morning.
What I'll do, Nath, I'll drop out of the Skype call and go in through the Hangout.
Yeah, no worries. How are you, Ranty? Good to have you. Haven't seen you for a while.
Yeah, I've been on a hiatus, so to speak. I've been enjoying watching you guys do it. I saw Arwin yesterday. It was enjoyable listening to him take on the troll that came in to start with. He pretended that he wasn't a baller.
Yeah, it was a bit too complimentary. I liked Stephen Chess's comment after the fact. So Stephen Chess said, it was just like me dealing with Bill Hicks. Don't trust people too complimentary or something like that. So when Stephen Chess, he called into InfoWars and basically he had a little chat and he was like, I've got all your products. I think you're wonderful. I think you're amazing. Why aren't you talking about flat Earth? And then he got cut off immediately.
It was amusing because I caught on straight away that he was definitely there to troll, and Arwin handled him quite well, so it was all good.
Yeah, it was a good day for Arwin, I would say.
Ranty, where have you been for the last 3 days? Have you been under the thumb?
No. I've just been listening to you guys. Don't have to come on every day, you know. I'm not like you.
I like the battle. What did you think of Al's failure to do the angle?
Has he done a failure? I don't see he's put a video out, has he?
Oh, come on. You just missed the last 10-minute presentation that I just did, Rumpus style.
Yeah, I literally just joined now.
Can I just say that the 10 minutes I did spend on it, I showed all the points concisely, and I answered the specific point. Rumpus doesn't really do that. He kind of waffles on about nonsense and doesn't really answer the question. Tells you everything about refraction, but doesn't answer the question. But yeah, so I just spent 10 minutes discussing why Al didn't do what I asked him to do, and he promised that he would, which was basically either prove me wrong or prove that prove that the Rumpus was wrong to change and this deduced horizon nonsense.
But haven't you learned anything yet from these guys? And I mean that in a way where every time you say they haven't done something, they probably have done it. They're just waiting for you to say that they haven't done it, and then make a big fuss about it, and then produce the evidence. This is what happens. This is like a cycle that they do.
He actually said in his video, he measured it with the laser, and then his next words were, I'm going to go down to the slab now with my tape measure and measure it with the tape, and then I'll get the angle using diopter. So he walks down the side of the steps that are slippery, gets to the bottom, and then basically seems to lose his mind. He stops at the bottom as if he's going to do what he just said, and then decides to walk to an arbitrary point behind that had nothing to do with the original points or claims, and now seems to confuse and obfuscate the point. And I'm not having it. I don't know why he didn't do it. It's complete and utter nonsense. So I've criticised him because he didn't do what he said he was going to do. And it was both in the video he said he was going to do it, and he agreed it with me. And I was really clear with what I wanted him to do. Measure the height of the hill from where he had his 16.5 foot pole thing. And he hasn't done it.
Yeah, but realistically, is this even important anymore?
It is against the Rumpus, because the Rumpus is basically, if I was inaccurate, sure, I'll say, right, okay, I got the angle incorrect. But the Rumpus he's added this deduced horizon in and basically falsified evidence to support Miles Davis. So in the context of the Rumpus, yes, it's very important. In the context of Al, nah, not really. That's why I said that Al was only 20% response or 20% the target, because although he is the target to some degree in terms of making the video, he's not really the bigger picture. The bigger picture is the rumpus. And was the rumpus being dishonest when he changed the angle to make it to support Miles?
Well, of course he was. I mean, you can see in his video that he changes the angle. It's ridiculous. And also, you know, I mean, just everything about the place, that all the people that have been and measured it before, we've all come to a conclusion that it is around 20 feet. So let's just move on. You know, I mean, he's been shown to be like, I know what you like. You like to have them admit the mistake. It's never going to happen.
I know it's never going to happen, but I want people to see the black and white evidence that shows that the rumpus is dishonest.
Right, he is dishonest, right? Like, we know that. I think you've proved it long enough to all the people that are in here. But realistically, this is like this is an argument that seems to be going nowhere and just dragging out, to be fair.
Yeah, that's because Al had the chance to fix it and close it, and he didn't do it. So I'm gonna dwell on it because I want to show that Rumpus is a lying piece of shit. It's that simple.
Okay. So, well, you've dwelled on it now. So what's new? What else have you got?
Well, I showed your composite of the hills. You know, with the bloke that just so perfectly happened to be stood at that bottom of that post.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then I showed that when you stack that guy on top of himself, it's like 6 foot, 6 foot, 6 foot, 6 foot. So I used that to show the scale because these guys are literally obfuscating the scale, and so I used that to make the point. But other than that, you know, what else is new? I haven't seen anything in the last 24 hours.
What do you think about this tire argument?
That's something new. You're joking. What about? Sorry to interrupt you, Auntie. You put out an absolutely superb video yesterday, Anthony, and I mirrored it. It was awesome.
I did, but I asked you to plug it in yesterday's show, and you didn't do it. Oh, by the way, what's the name? The Afterlife Now. Shout out to the Afterlife Now, because Nathan wasn't at his computer yesterday, and it was really unfair that she donated.
I was just talking and not watching the chat at the time that she made a super chat donation. So thank you very much, the Afterlife. I did do a little. I thought it would tag on to the end of the other hangout, but it just didn't. It went out as a separate video. But oh well. But I did thank her in the end. But yeah, don't obfuscate. You did a really cracking video. I didn't actually watch it before the show, so when you said plug my video, I didn't really know what you were talking about, hence I didn't plug it. But once I watched it, I was like, this is amazing. This is really well put together. This has got a great soundtrack, compelling, great evidence, excellent in every regard.
Yeah, and you know,
love it.
I need to give a shout out to Squeaker Alpha for this one, because he basically attacked me in a chat somewhere, and I haven't seen Squeaker Alpha for a long time. He's been blocked on my channel for ages, but he actually said something that I thought, actually that's a fair point. And essentially, the Isle of Man observations at around about that Mackle Lighthouse is around about 31 miles. And I remembered that I had a Blackpool Tower observation from Hoy Lake also at 31 miles at night time, when there's very little or no refraction whatsoever, and we see all of it. And he reminded me that I should I should recirculate that or rehash it, because it's not on my channel currently, and because I deleted my channel from my previous channel. And I thought, well, actually, I've still got all the evidence there. I could just rehash it, and that's exactly what I did. Put some catchy sound lines to it, put some new graphics on it, and basically addressed everything all the criticism that I got from it at the time, which was to do with the roller coaster being visible and the mirror ball being visible, and them not liking any of that. I could avoid all that by rehashing it, but including that in it, so pointing it out in the video so that it can't be brought back up again. So shout out to Squeaker Alpha. Thanks very much for that. Without you, Squeaker Alpha, I wouldn't have released that video. If anybody knows who that guy is, just let him know that video came out because of him. And if it wasn't for him, it wouldn't be out there.
I enjoyed it. It was well put. It was well put together, to be fair.
Yeah.
And yeah, we haven't talked about that for what, 6, 7 months, perhaps.
Yeah, and no one likes it because it shows the whole of the tower. They try and argue that it doesn't show the whole of the tower, but if you haven't seen the video, go into my Hangout. Well, sorry, go into my channel. It's the most recent video that's been uploaded. It's a glorious one. It's another 30-mile observation, no curvature whatsoever.
That shows the mirror ball, mate. You don't need to worry about Blackpool Tower.
Yep.
Shows that mirror ball.
Certainly does.
They hate that because I've seen it from north and south. 20 miles looking south and 30 miles looking north.
Yep.
And it's there sitting right on the promenade, and it's only, at high tide, it's probably only 24 feet. And at low tide, it would be probably 50 feet.
Got a picture? Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Let's get it on this broadcast.
Well, I'm off Skype now, aren't I?
Doesn't matter. You can just display it in the Hangout. Just display the pictures.
Oh, you mean from the... Right, okay.
And you've got a nicely condensed 6-minute video now that you can just flick through really easily, so you might as well. If you've talked about it, you might as well actually show it.
Okay then, let's go share that screen. So you mean play the video or show the actual photo?
Either or, I'm not fussed.
Okay. So let me find my other screen. I love it when you get caught off guard. Right, so my channel. There we go. All right, so there won't be any sound. Basically, I start off with the to try and give some perspective to the Blackpool Tower. But you need to remember that this love heart at the beginning becomes important. It was getting some scaffolding work done at this time of this video. I didn't take this video. I found it online, stole it accordingly. But this guy did it better than I could do it because I don't have a drone. And basically, it just gives you an idea of how tall this thing actually is. Because when you see the number on a piece of paper, 518 feet is just a number. But it's up to the flagpole. It doesn't include the flagpole. It's up to the flagpole. So when you look at it up on Wikipedia, you see that they give the reference of 518 feet. And that's down to the pedestrian entrance, right? That does include the ballroom at the bottom. And there's another reference for it too, which says that it can be seen as far away as Wales and the Lake District, which in itself is admitting that the Earth's flat if you do the calcs on it. At night time, we can see that it looks really flamboyant and well lit up during season times. And you can see that the love heart was well lit up at the bottom. Come back to that again in a minute. But you can see that it's really prominent on the horizon at night time. And obviously, if you do a horizon shot at night time from Hoy Lake in Wirral, you can see that thing beaming away like a diamond, I'll use. But nonetheless, you can see it. Now, most people in the area don't know that you can see it. If you ask them, can you see Blackpool Tower from here? They will say no. Why? I don't know. But you can see Blackpool Tower from there. So I guess it's to do with the indoctrination that we live on a sphere and it must be therefore behind the ball because you can't see it. But you can actually see it comfortably. You just need a P900. So it measures 29.25 miles from basically to the base of the tower. So I've kept it written in the bottom left-hand corner for easy reference. We've got the height at the top at 518 feet. And if we use, or if we don't use the mega flump calculator because it's got too much refraction, we can see that under standard circumstances, basically it should be negligible. And there's too much refraction in that website. So we use the other one, which tells us it should be 356 feet behind the curvature of the Earth. When you do the maths on it, it tells you that that's 70% covered. So we should only see like this. It should be sat like that on the horizon. So thanks to Mick West from Metabunk, this is what he showed us is what it should look like when I had a hangout with him. That's what it should look like on a ball. But obviously in real world, that's what it looks like. And you can clearly see
Pause it. There we go. This is the actual observation. So the critical detail. This is how much of the tower you can see. And you can probably, if you can circle with your mouse, or I will, so the audience can see it. There we go. That's the love heart or whatever you call it. What does it have a proper title?
They nickname it the love heart because it is a heart.
Right.
But I'll play it there. Do you remember this feature earlier on in the video? Well, that feature is where the finger points to it. That heart lights up. You see that there. So we're looking at it from the south. So it's facing left. So it's facing to the left of the screen because we're looking up to it from the south. That's why it's on a funny angle. So that's the love heart. But there's more evidence in the photograph. We can see that when we look to the right-hand side of the picture, we can see the roller coaster, which sits at a height of 235 feet. Now that's the 235 feet of the ball, the bulb, and you can see that there's a triangle shape to it, and you can see that we are seeing there's the angle going down, and there's all the structure in the way. There's the other triangle part, and it looks like there's another part over here. But we're seeing 235 feet, but we're also seeing significantly below that, and you also see this glorious little ball here, which is the mirror ball on the promenade.
To the right, mate. The mirror ball is to the right.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I was watching the hangout. Sorry. So I'm delayed like a few seconds.
So this is the mirror ball, which is on the promenade. It is on the main road into Blackpool from the south. It is on the promenade. It sits about, what is it, Ranty? 45, 50 feet off the surface of the road?
At low tide it would be. At high tide it's only about 24 feet.
Right, so whatever height that is, 50 feet, call it 50 feet for easy maths, 40 feet, I don't really care. And when you look on Google Earth, you can see that the roller coaster is over here. You can see that there's the mirror ball, and they are evidenced in the picture. Now, the problem is, if the Earth's meant to be a ball, it's meant to be a ball at nighttime as well as the day. But at night time, you get less refraction, you get less atmospheric effect because there's less moisture in the air because it condenses and it falls out the air and you can see better. And that's all we see. So again, this is what we're meant to see. We're meant to see the ball part of it sat at the top of the tower. That is meant to be on the horizon. Now, at the end of the day, you've got people like Cat Earth that will say, where's the beach, Riley? Well, okay, where's the beach? Fair point, but the curvature is meant to be up here. That ball part of the tower is meant to be down there. So why are you focusing on where the beach might be and ignoring where the curve's supposed to be by day and by night? It has to be that way at nighttime as well. So it shows that whatever we see during the day is subject to a lot more refraction than it is anything else. But it's refraction that's not bending around the curve, because at nighttime there is no curve. So it's like it's refraction, but it's the refraction during the day that's distorting what we see, not bringing stuff back. So because it's not sat on the horizon the way it's supposed to be according to the ball-shaped Earth that we're meant to live on, what's the explanation for this? As the tide drained away magically for me while I'm taking the picture? Ridiculous. By the way, this picture was actually taken by Ranty. It wasn't taken by me. I didn't have a P900. So ask yourself this: does this match the spheroid Earth claim? So the likes of Miles Delia Davis claims that the turbines match the spheroid Earth. Well, does it? That's what the actual claim is supposed to be. That's what you actually see. There's the roller coaster. There's the mirror ball. Is that representative of a spheroid Earth? And of course, the answer is no. We don't live on a ball. Not quite sure how big it is that we live on. Don't know if there's more land, but we know that we don't live on a ball. So go to the video, like it if you like it, dislike it if you don't like it, and then leave me a nasty comment if you're a troll.
Very good. And also, top work, Ranty. Great photography.
Yeah, it was good to do it. In fact, it was the first time I actually met Anthony. We'd agreed to go and see if we could actually see Blackpool Tower from that location. So we met up there, got the P900 out, and yeah, Bob's your uncle. Managed to get it straight away, no issues. It wasn't like it was we'd gone 25 times. It was the first time we went.
To be honest, I've been back at least 10, maybe 12 times. And you can see it with the naked eye, even during the day. Now that I know where to look, you can see it with the naked eye during the day. All right, you can't resolve how much of it you're seeing by day. You need the P900. But nonetheless, you can see it all the time. Now, of course, if refraction is looming something back from behind the curvature of the Earth, then there would be times when you couldn't see it, and there should be times when you could see it, and I see it every time. It's in the same place. It looks exactly the same. There's no variation on it. It is what it is. So this nonsense about looming from behind the curve, it just doesn't happen. Every single time I've gone past it, and I go out my way to see it as well. I go out my way, and it got to the point where I realized I was doing it over and over and over again, and ultimately you satisfy the definition of insanity, which is doing something over and over and over again, hoping for a different result. And I've satisfied myself that we get it the same every single time, unless the atmosphere is murky and you can't see 30 miles, in which case you're only seeing, say, 25 miles, 20 miles, 18 miles, then you're not going to see it at all. But I've never once seen it in any other form, which is the same form, which is always the same. I'm not seeing it dropping behind no curve, not seeing it come back up again. On a clear day, you can see it. And that is fundamentally against the principle that we live on a ball. Shout out to Squeaker Alpha.
Yeah, very good of him to suggest that you do all that. Obviously, it's a top flat earth proof, and it's nice to have it well presented. Thanks, Squeaker Alpha, for suggesting it, and well done, Ranty, for getting the images, and well done, Anthony, for putting that video together. Top work.
And obviously, with it being 30 miles and Mackle Lighthouse at 31 miles, it supports the idea that we can actually see far more of Mackle Lighthouse than the argument that you're only just seeing the tippy tops of it, the rest of it's a loomed mirage. No, we can see it. It's there.
No, I want to jump in there. So that's the problem. So when it was modelled by Philip, the one thing he couldn't actually replicate was the one thing that Sly Sparkane wanted to demonstrate as, quote, refraction, i.e. things being brought back, his little strip of red plasticine. The problem is that the entire island is slipping further and further and further around the curve of the Earth. And the fact that it meets on the horizon with your eye line, all that means is that you've got a co-opting of actual reality, which is flat plane observations on a flat plane because the Earth is flat, and they've just co-opted that and worked out how to give you the mathematics to make it work on a sphere. But it's still accounting for flat Earth observations. They have to take arc calculations to everything, absolutely everything on the island is refracted. So it's not just the case that you see a bit of distortion in the bottom millimetre of the image and then you say, refraction. It's like, well, you haven't in any way shown how that works. We don't need to show how that works to take our straight line measurements to all of this stuff. We don't need refraction. But you guys not only need refraction for the bottom millimetre that Sly thinks he can bring back with butane, they also need refraction for everything on the island. The entire island, as they put it, is looming. And what looming actually means is that the stuff that's, you know, closer but slightly further up the curve is coming up, you know, and meeting your eye line, and then the stuff that's further back around the curve even further is also looming up to meet your eye line. So everything's being projected in perfect symmetry to represent itself as though it was on a flat plane, and yet you can do the maths on it. So it must be the case that it's really, really, really common to see flat Earth observations to the point that they can co-opt the maths to make people believe they're on a sphere. And it's nonsense. The biggest part of that nonsense being that the entire island isn't where it's supposed to be. It's not appearing in its geographical location. It's looming into a different location entirely, as far as you can tell. But yet they can measure this looming effect to the point that they can have very good accuracy. It's complete nonsense. You know, you measure it on a flat plane and it works out fine, so you don't need to do arc calculations on any of it. And as soon as they do a straight line measurement on some of it, they prove the Earth is flat. If you can take a straight line to the top of Snaefell, you're proving the flat Earth. So they have to apply an arc calculation, which means that immediately everything is looming, everything's refracted. It's nonsense. Anyway, did you have something up, Ranty, that you wanted to show?
I did, yeah.
I'll just stick you up. Hold on one
5
second.
minutes ago in chat, Adam said 50 feet, sort of like you're joking. Obviously, that was a reference to the height of the mirror ball above the actual sea level at any time.
You're up. You're on.
This is at high tide, so no, it's not actually high tide. It's at 5 meters. This one. I'd gone it specifically to see what it looked like at 5 meters because I'd done an observation from Barrow, and I wanted to see where the water came to at 5 meters because I knew that that was what the height was at the time when I took the images from Barrow. So this is a 5 meter tide. It does go higher. You know, it goes up to the top of here. So I'm just going to show you where the mirror ball is. There it is.
It's good having you on, Ranty.
You know, it's really that post that it stood on, the post that's twirling, is a 10 feet in height. And that's how close it is to the water. So when he said 50 feet, you're joking. No, we're not joking. At this time, I think it's only about 24 feet above the actual sea. So, yeah, in your face. Some of that.
Suck it, trolls.
Suck it, trolls. Yeah, because, you know, you'll say it's 50 feet, and then they'll put something in chat that makes you, you know, that sheds some kind of doubt in people's minds. You know, so people will be thinking, yeah, he says it's not 50 feet, so it mustn't be 50 feet. They must be lying again. Well, no, I'm not lying again. Here we are. There's the mirror ball. You saw how close it was to the water. There's me just measuring. I do a lot of measurements on this video. It's actually on my channel, this one. And yeah, so there's the water. I'm stood right by the mirror ball now. There it is.
And look at the size of it in relative to...
well, all this
hey,
lights
Jamie.
up at night.
How you doing?
Shine lights onto it.
Hello, Jamie.
Oh, how you going, man?
Good to have
They
you.
shine lights onto this.
Unblocking me, guys. Appreciate it.
This is 20 feet in width and 20 feet in depth. So it's a massive mirror ball. So they shine these, I think you might have just seen them there, actually. The lights that shine onto it. There they are. Those projectors project onto this. And it lights it up like a big Christmas tree. So it's very prominent on the promenade. And there's nothing in the way of it. So you've got a clear line of sight to both Barrow and Hoy Lake for this, which is why it was evidenced in both observations.
Now, obviously, they're aiming in that. Them three lights are coming from the east and they're hitting the mirror ball on the south side of it, which is why we can see it. Although it is dim in the picture, what would you expect from 30 miles away with three floodlights that are on the side of the walk? So for anybody that argues, oh, by the way, Ranty, some people argue, where's all the prom lights then, Riley? They're in Blackpool Tower lit up like a Christmas tree. Do you want to show them the picture from 20 miles away from a different angle that shows that you can see the illuminations. People want to see the illuminations, but they're obscured by the actual what they called the piers, because the piers are not lit up with as much bright lights. They are illuminated, but they're not very bright. But this is a picture taken from 20 miles away.
So there's the mirror ball. This is from Barrow. There's the mirror ball, all nice and round. Very dim though on this particular image.
I can hardly make it out. I've got to be honest. I can hardly see the mirror ball in that image. Maybe it's just because I'm looking at it on a projector and it's quite light in here. But I'll take your word for it.
It is dim.
It is dim, but it is there, and it's definitely the mirror ball. There's the big one. There's the backside of the big one. There's the white tower. Sorry?
Don't forget though, Ranty, with that mirror ball being so dim on this angle, it's because we're on the blind side of the lights that are lighting it up.
Yes, that's true. I never thought of that, actually. These are the illuminations. This is part of the illuminations, actually. But what you have between, let's say, the tower, which is here, Blackpool Tower, and this point here, and that point there, you have three piers that come out. One, you've got North Pier, which is here, Central Pier and South Pier. And then the only line of sight you have to the illuminations is here, basically, because the piers are in the way and you don't get to see them.
Now, the glorious part of this is if we're seeing down to the street lights, or to the height of the street lights, which are about 17 feet tall, then it means that we're probably also seeing down to the road level, and therefore you've probably got the beach as well. So for Cat Earth, although you can't see no beach, it's not lit up, we're seeing down to the road that the beach sits underneath. Is that not close enough for you? Probably not.
You see where the fingers are on this mouse thing here? That's the hard horizon down here. And this part here, this blacked out area, is what the tower sits on. It's the tower ballroom.
Well, I've got to pick you up on this, sorry. That's not where you're seeing down to. There's a clear, distinct line of refraction. There's a mirror line that runs through this entire image if you zoom out a tiny bit. So
there.
Yeah, you've got it. And that runs through the entire image along, you know, that's the band that would run through, formerly known as Douglas, the Seashell, Moorgold Lighthouse. It's the same effect that we're seeing. You know, it's a mirroring at that line, at that convergence point, whatever you call it.
This is me setting up to take that image. As you can see, I've got my light out and I'm flashing it onto the water, and there you can see my tripod. There's my tripod. This is on the beach at Barrow. There's the water. So you can see that when I took those images, the camera was probably, 3 feet above water at the time. So I just thought I'd show that. So I don't know what the calculations are on a 20-mile observation at 3 feet, but I'm sure that what I captured of Blackpool Tower, which is all this, and down to here, I'm sure it's about 200 feet or so. Should be the curves, which would take it to about here. And certainly you shouldn't see the mirror ball. I open that, actually. Let me open that.
Can I just show you this? Because it's cool. Because you've got it really cool on this picture. So if you zoom into the big one, which is the roller coaster.
One sec. I'm just gonna change the contrast and brightness on it just to see whether or not I can bring anything. If I can get it any better. Right, let's. There you go, you can see it there now. So if I save that as, I'll call it with a 1 on the end. Right, I'll open this image now. So hopefully you'll be able to see it now.
Just a shout out to Tony Vincenzo in chat. If you haven't seen my comment, Tony, could you respond to it, please? Thank you.
Can you see it there? The mirror ball?
Yeah, I can see it, but I'm in a dark room. I don't think Nathan will see it on a projector.
Can you see it in chat, anyone? Can anyone see that mirror ball? Sorry, what is it you want me to
I think they can. I think they can. They'll obviously say not now that you've asked them, can they see it? Because they'll say that it's not there.
Just leave it up a sec. I'm just going to bring it up on my iPad because that's got the best screen I've got. So I just want to see if it's actually appearing. Let us know when you've got
that. But there's the big one. And that's 235 feet in height. So I think the curve calcs basically say that you should just see the light at the top of it. But clearly you're seeing all of the big one there. And these illuminations that are here, we're down to around about 14 feet or so above sea level at the time. Yeah, so can you see it now, Nath? Have you got it on your big screen?
Yeah, if you just go to the mirror ball, just because that's the one thing that didn't show up.
That's the mirror ball there.
Ah, yes, yes, yes. I can see it on the iPad, for sure. Brilliant.
There you go.
If you can't see it, get a better screen.
So yeah, it's flat. You know, if you look across bodies of water, it is flat. And at night time, you just seem to get better observations because you don't have all the distortion going on.
Can you just? I was just going to ask you to show some of the banana cam effects because it's really prevalent on the big one, on the large part of the roller coaster. You can see where it doubles back on itself, and you've got like. Yeah.
Oh, the banana cam here. There.
Yeah, you've got it.
Yeah.
You can see
so
it
there is
doubling
still
back
a
on
band
itself.
of refraction then going through. You can actually see it on the illuminations here. This part.
Just interesting that it's in you know almost every photo. Basically, you can see it all the time, and except on that that chap that joined, Mark Doxey, because Mark Doxey showed it, but he had choppy weather, so literally the waves were obscuring the refraction line. You could probably see some of the top of the stuff, but you couldn't see the inferior mirage. So, you know, because the choppy water was masking it. But it seems to be in almost every image. The reason I note it is because that when modelled by Philip, he couldn't replicate it. The one thing that seems to be in all the images, the software doesn't replicate. The only thing the software does is loom things from behind the curve. So it's not actually ever replicating the actual refraction we see, which seems crazy to me. Surely the software, the first thing it would do is replicate that.
So,
Thanks for that,
so
Ranty. That was awesome.
To revisit Blackpool again because it's some great flat Earth proof in itself.
Yeah, the Earth is flat from every vantage point. You know, it should be really easy to catch curvature because it's a sphere everywhere. But yet nobody seems to, and yet you can go and take observations of things that are nice and, you know, high or brightly lit in the case of Blackpool Tower, and you can prove the Earth is flat. It's great. Don't need to go to some crazy lake that's below sea level.
How's the lake observations going over the frozen lakes?
They finished it. They're back home now. They've been travelling for the last 20 hours or so because they got delayed in Heathrow, so I've not heard from anybody yet. But they have finished their Lake Balaton experiment. Yes, it's done.
Cool. Can't wait to see the results on that.
Yeah, I'm waiting to do the same. Right.
Big shout out to Dank for £20, $20 in the super chat. Thank you very much. He says, I like it. Thank you, Dank.
I like it as well.
I worked hard for that, Nathan.
You did. Your check's in the post.
Nath, do you want to just show my screen?
Yeah, sure. What you got?
I just found it interesting that when you look up the definition of rumpus, look what you get. Can you see it?
Yeah. A noisy disturbance, a row.
A noisy disturbance. I can see why he's called himself the rumpus now. God love him. Nobody else does.
No, I'm very grateful to the rumpus. You know, I've got a better, more comprehensive understanding of their complete bullshit thanks to the rumpus. You know, I wouldn't understand that it was all looming up from further and further behind the curve. You know, Judas Rumpus denied it 3 times until I sort of asked him to explain why he was denying it. And then he obviously confessed. All of this stuff is further and further around the curve. It's all looming up from different drop values. Arwin says it all the time.
Does anybody know if Arsene Wenger's been sacked? I know it's not Flat Earth related, but Arsenal got battered last night, and I think they were calling for his sacking if they lost, and they got beat. So I'm just wondering, has he survived? And see whether that's true. Oh, he's not been sacked yet, but it's looming, a bit like refraction.
Yeah, looming. Just a way of saying it's all meeting your eye line in a perfect flat Earth representation. But we can calculate it. We have this thing called refraction. The perfect band-aid to explain why everything looks like it's flat.
But of course, calculating something isn't proving it, right? Calculating is just providing a mathematical explanation for it, but it doesn't prove the point that you're making, which is that refraction is the bending of light around the curve of an Earth. Now, we all accept that light can bend, but it's minimal, it's negligible. We want to see it bend around the curve of the Earth, but to do that, you have to show that the Earth is in fact curved. So the argument for refraction, of course, is subject to the curvature of the Earth point, which is yet to be proven. So if you can prove that the Earth is in fact curved, I'd be happy to accept that the Earth, that this non-standard, slightly looming non-standard refraction hyena was in fact actually a thing, because then the math would be valid. But until you can prove that there is a curve to standing water, or to water that's going around the oceans in a current, unless you can prove that there is curvature, unfortunately, you can't prove that refraction is causing what we see. It's subject to proving curvature, boys and girls. And until you do that, it's just mathematics, and you can make math do anything you want.
Well, it says, if it's flat, then move on to debunking other parts of physics. Nice to know that you're well on the way to becoming a fully fledged flat earther, was.
I'd just like to present some sunset images if you can, Nath.
Yeah, sure. I've seen these already, mate. These are brilliant.
So this was again, this was from St. Bees, and nice little bird, just to give it a nice little bit of aesthetics here. But there's the sunset, and what we're looking at here, it's weird what we're looking at. This looks like it's the sun, and this just looks like it's not the sun. You know, it doesn't look like all of this is the sun. The really bright stuff at the top looks like the sun, but it's much smaller than the entirety of what we're looking at. That's just my opinion. And also we've got this sort of like reflection on the clouds above. If I go on to the next image, you'll see it even more. Look at this. I wonder what that is. Do you have any explanations for what this could be, Nathan?
I tried to explain it, but, you know, this is a real mystery. But it's very, very cool.
But it definitely looks like the sun doesn't go in a straight line there, obviously. It looks like it's, whatever this is, whatever this part is, it looks like it's being squashed and enlarged. And that looks like it's the actual sun just going further away, not setting. And it looks like this is some kind of optical illusion that's creating the size of the sun to set like this, whereas the real sun is just going further away.
Yeah, it does look like there's lines that run through it that are like what you just showed on the mirror ball, not the mirror ball, the big one. You know, they're kind of doubling underneath each other, and you know, there's so many different effects that are going here. I mean, a couple of years ago, Dave Weiss described the sunset as a beautiful dance of perspective and refraction and all these crazy things all happening at the same time, right at the point of the horizon. And I don't think I've ever heard anybody describe it better than that. And none of us really know, you know, that's the reality. But the more pictures you get like this, that you can really have a damn good look at it and see where clearly it's not a perfect disc. Clearly there's obviously refraction going on. But what in detail is going on, I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. I'm sure somebody knows, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it just looks like this part, the yellow part, is getting smaller as it's disappearing. It's just going further away. It looks like this yellow part is getting smaller. That's just the way I'm viewing it on. I mean, here, look. Can you see how small it is now on the next image? Just looks like it's going further away, but this is holding its shape. This part here.
They've got a couple of other images, Ranty, that you can potentially show us, but in the meantime I'm going to do a quick link because we have approximately 1 hour left on this live stream, so I hope you're enjoying the debate thus far. Not even a debate this first time. It's been very, very, very nice for me to just sit here in a blissful, not silence, but blissful hope of somebody coming in to have an argument with, which is always a nice position to be in. But yeah, hope you're enjoying it thus far. Nonetheless, massive thanks to the Super Chat contributor. So, If you'd like to join the panel, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box to join the discussion and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are a couple of rules. Number one, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the show using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Massive thanks to all who've done so already. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. As I say, there is approximately 1 hour left on this live stream. So let's get back to you, Ranty. I know you've got a few more images to show us.
Yeah, it was just a really nice observation to go out at sunset and actually see this, because we'd struggled all day to even see the Isle of Man. It was just impossible. You couldn't see it at all. So I didn't even expect to see the sunset. So to capture this was just amazing. I think this was the day that Al-Kay, we met Al-Kay on the hill. I'm just going to flick through some of these and show you. But there's some really cool images after the sun's actually set that I want to show you, because the colours are just fantastic. Look at that. There's no flat earth proof here. It's just beautiful images.
Sure.
And, you know, I had to look at this. It's like a painting, isn't it? You got all these lines going through. The colours are fantastic.
Let me know when you're done, Ranty, because I want to respond to Tony Vincenzo in chat.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I'm done. I just thought I would show you that. It was cool.
I just need to get a confirmation that Tony Vincenzo's last comment was actually aimed at me. He reads, where is he? Tony Vincenzo. He says, the claims that the Rumpus was going to call you out by on Steve's show, you called people names. Over those claims, then you lie and say you already conceded and not let Rumpus show the list. Slimy. Who was that aimed at? Was that aimed at me, Nathan, or was it aimed at you?
I don't know. I don't care.
So I lied and called people's names.
I don't care. No. I mean, literally, you know, when I went and did this measurement, we didn't have an argument this morning, but I was like, who cares? And Ranty pretty much said the same thing live. I'm not having a go at you here, I promise, but it's just one of those. I've made the measurement myself, and it's to my satisfaction. The fact that I've published it, you know, fine, people are open to criticise it, but I genuinely don't care.
Well, I just want to show that Rumpus was a lying, deceitful little snivelling toad by changing that deduced horizon, therefore changing the angle from 20 to 30. That's literally falsifying evidence. Now, at this point, I'm not really interested in Miles's claim. I'm not really interested in what Al did. I'm interested in the fact that he didn't do something he said he was going to do. But ultimately, I want to show that Rumpus is a lying little snivelling toad. That's really my intention, because he is. And I can prove it with, well, I was hoping to do it with Al's video, but he didn't really do it. But Tony Vincenzo, the names leading up to the day. Oh, yeah, he is aiming it at me. Right, okay. So let me respond to his comment. So, screen share. Okay, so this is the comment that I'm responding to Tony Vincenzo. The claims that Rumpus was going to call you out by on Steve's show, you called people names over those claims. Then you lie and say that you already conceded and not let Rumpus show the list. Slimy. Well, a lot of the claims on that list were conceded. So I don't really know what point he was trying to show. The claim was, why is the floaty land in the north of the island? The list that he wanted to show was most of it was conceded. There were 1 or 2 points that were worthy of debate, but the vast majority of the list were all things that were conceded in the debates, and it served zero purpose in that actual hangout. But with regards to this bit, I'm interested in showing this bit because I called people names over those claims. Okay, so here's an example of my behavior with regards to the Rumpus, and at the moment it's quite contentious with the Rumpus because he's basically being dishonest. And in the video that Al produced, let me just get rid of these comments because right, here we go. So I'll put a video out on the lighthouse observation, 248 views, and you can see that I've liked the video because it was actually a good video. So I've left my like on it. And in the comments, the Rumpus has said, "Well done, Al. The conditions are really cold." And in the responses, Al replies, and then I said, "Don't tell the Rumpus that your point of view lighthouse should be behind the curve. By some way, he'll manipulate your evidence for you and tell everybody that it's perfectly fine and not a single baller will question it." And that's a fair criticism, right? I've not called him a name. The Rumpus responds, "As usual, you are fighting reality and maths. One day you'll get some maths right. No, perhaps not. No name calling, that's okay." This comment here, there's no name calling in it, which I could show you more, but there's no arguments in here being personal. I am calling him deluded or dishonest, but he's one or the other, or probably both, because whatever. Anyway, this is where it starts going wrong. These are the lists that he's referring to. I think Tony's referring to. He saw the point of her lighthouse. I have Rumpus. I have never, ever, ever, ever falsified evidence. Well, that's what we're closing in on. We're going to show that you have falsified evidence because you're a dishonest person. You're a dishonest baller, and I'm going to show that you're a liar. And then all these claims that he's gone here, sure, most of these conceded, and then he finishes off with a dishonest moron. So there's the first ad hom, the word moron. Now, in my response, there's nothing. Basically, I've stood my ground. That is manipulation and falsification of evidence. Jail time if that were a court case. Why did you do this? I've not called him a moron. And then he's responded and said, "You stupid, utter moron." So again, he's doubling down on his ad hom. And then I said, "So no reason why you didn't go with the vertical poll then?" Thought not. I haven't responded. I've not reacted to it. You idiot! And you can tell, you can hear it in his tone and his voice as well. You can just imagine him saying it. So again, another ad hom. My response: "No, you faked evidence because the evidence I cited did not support your friend's claim." Again, I've not called him names. "You don't understand the term evidence. I made an inference based on the evidence. You utter moron." I mean, who's calling names here, right? And then I said, "Okay, but I didn't know you took a different time, blah, 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 blah." Again, no personal attack. Try and read and understand, you moron. So again, there's another comment there from him, calling me names, stupid, 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 stupid moron. The Rumpus, you had a vertical. There was no scientific reason. Al's measured the hill height. And again, I haven't called him any names. In there, it's all on point. It's all on topic. He's calling me a stupid wanker.
Basically,
blah, blah,
he's
blah.
totally fuming because you've called him out. He's falsified evidence. He's putting this to Jews to Ryzen. He's added an extra 10 degrees. And even on Alk's video with a piece of evidence he didn't actually prove, the highest angle he got was 26.5. So, you know, Rumpus is completely disingenuous. You've called him on it and he's gone nuts. Look at him.
He is going nuts. So he's calling me a stupid wanker. What else is he calling me?
I'd feel the same, Rumpus, if I'd been completely caught out, basically falsifying evidence just to support your mate.
So, I mean, how many times have I been called stuff here, right? Ad hom, right? None of it's on a lot of it's on topic, but it's followed by like personal attack. Now, how many times have I responded to it? Not once, right? I didn't respond once. I was on topic at all times. My response: the Rumpus, the horizon is a downward sloping land, not flat. Even if you did get the angle right to that, which you did not, it was not water. Again, I've not responded to his ad hom. "You stupid bastard." And he goes on, and then again, you can see. So he only does it once in that one. But again, he's calling me an ad hom attack. And again, now I've gone with one. Well, then again, it's not. Maybe not. You are deluded if you think what you did was anyway credible. That's not ad hom. But ultimately, is there anywhere where I'm being name calling? You're a deluded moron. And then it goes on. Refutation does not come from fabricated or falsified evidence. Let's see. Does he do it anymore? No. So he stops with that one. That's the final one. So with response in reference to Tony's claim that the Rumpus is going to call you out by Steve, I call people names. Well, who's the one that's calling all the names here? Is it me or is it the Rumpus? Because I mean, he called me at least 15 times in that thing there. Moron, mutter, fool, blah blah blah, and I did it once. Not sure that that's a fair comment aimed at me there, Tony lad. Sorry, mate. Your mates, in this case, the Rumpus, they're the ones that are doing all the shit stirring, trouble causing, falsifying of evidence, name calling, all the things that are bottom of the barrel stuff. That's your side, not my side. My side are trying to get to this, the facts, the established facts, the truth, the evidence. That's what we're trying to do. So that comment there, Tony, rejected.
Yeah, we're going out there, actually doing the measurements and presenting what we do. Yes, we're fine, open to criticism, that's fine. Me, I don't care about the criticism. You're very different to me. But ultimately speaking, the Rumpus hasn't gone anywhere near this. He's just taken your evidence and doctored it He hasn't been anywhere near this location.
But he's quite happy to call me all the names under the sun. And Tony thinks that it's me that's calling people names. No, I'm just calling people that are telling pork pies, tell them that they're a liar.
What Rumpus is doing is taking a look at a flat Earth observation and then telling everybody how it is actually sphere that you're looking at, because art calculations and maths and refraction and all this other nonsense. But ultimately speaking, he's being completely disingenuous, because he never once concedes to the fact that it is actually a flat Earth observation that we're looking at. He just confesses to the fact that I can account for it with maths.
Did you see my video that I put out yesterday, Anthony?
What was it?
It was the boats, or the boats on the horizon.
No, actually, I thought you'd been kidnapped by your girlfriend. I haven't seen you for like 4 days, not even heard from you. So I thought you were actually dead.
I just
You
realised.
know what I'm going to say next, Ranty? I'm going to say, can you play it?
Oh, yeah. Hang on.
I didn't hear what you said then, but Nathan stood on top of you.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. I might have let slip in the video. I didn't realise, because I just let it play all the way through, which was the, it was just after you'd had that little accident. And I might have referenced it in the video at some point. So I just thought I'd make you aware of that.
Well, don't go any further than making reference to it. So let's stop now.
No, it was on the video.
Yeah, well, let's not talk about it.
Yeah, let's not talk about it, but you can still play the video though, right? You can still actually play it. We can see it. Because it just, you can talk us through the observations that are on screen, right?
Yeah, sure. Hang on, let me find it.
This has been a great show.
Luciansky says, Ranty, do you still think Nathan is a slimy psycho? Definitely
How
slimy.
dare you call me slimy?
Yeah, it's definitely slimy.
Right, hang on. Let me share my screen. Okay, right. Let me know when I'm presenting.
Yeah, you're on.
Okay, so yeah, basically this was the video. It's quite a long one, actually. It's a 17-minute video. What I realised was that my camera is an hour out. It's the time on it is an hour forward, and I was able to prove that with the sunset images. Because in the video that I actually show, I ask Anthony the time, and he says it's 9:07, but the actual images say 10:07. So I couldn't understand why that was wrong. So I went back and I revisited the sunset images, which says that the sunset was done at, what time was it? 18:38, 18:39, and the sunset had been set for an hour already. So it just proved that the camera was basically an hour out. So that's the first part of the video. The next part of the video is just showing the GPS, etc., the heights. I think it's about 24 feet or so, 25 feet, the first observation. This is the boat that I've identified it as, with the 4 structures on it. You can see quite clearly. It's very distinguished. It's easy to distinguish, and you'll see that in the video actually. I was able to triangulate that this was 29 miles away when we took this this video. There's the GPS for it. The altitude was 8.3 meters. And when I go down to the beach, on the later part of the video, there's another image that I took, and it says the altitude is 1.2 meters, which I don't disagree with that at all. And then basically I just play the video. This is what me and Anthony both saw this at the same time. You can see the 4 prongs on the boat, very distinguishable. There's the wind farm that it's going to. And this is an observation, obviously, 29 miles away. And you can see that that's the same boat. It's just very squished because it's such a long way away. But it should be 400 feet behind the curve. So this is the question. Are we looking at a boat that's loomed up? Or are we actually just seeing it because it's flat?
I can probably answer that. I can answer that from a bull perspective. So if it's beyond the horizon, then yes, absolutely, it's being loomed up. Of course, that's nonsense. We just see it, but yeah, that's what they would say.
Can I just rudely interrupt for a moment? We have a baller that's leaving the building. His name's Tony Vincenzo, and he's done with the channel. Nath, could you shut the door on his way out, please? Bye. Carry on, Ranty, as you were.
Okay. So basically, I turn to you and I say to you in the video, I say, I wonder if I walk down, will I see it from the sands as well? So I leave you there at the bottom of Miles Davis's step. I go down on the shingles, so I'm going down below high tide now. This is the steepest part. Now the mid tide sort of thing. And when I actually go down to the sands, it's very, very flat on the sands, and you'll see that there's still water on the sands itself. I'll just speed the video up a sec. Can you see all the water that's lying on the sands? You can see how flat it is. And I basically do the same observation, and I just say, can I see the boat from this position? And sure enough, 29 miles away, there it is, just coming into view from my P900. Obviously, it's still very distorted with the atmospherics that's going on, but 400 feet, that should be 400 feet behind the curve. And that is the question. Is this boat loomed up 400 feet due to refraction? That's it.
Mark Taylor's ringing you, Ranty.
Probably is.
Ranty hotline.
Yeah.
Answer the phone by going, "Hello, Mark."
There's a difference here because this is the fishing boat, and can you see all the birds that are flying around it? If I play the video, you'll see them all flying around, waiting for the fish to be caught. And then when you go back to the other boat, which obviously is just a vessel that's working on the wind farms, you don't see any of those birds flying around it. So obviously it's not a fishing boat. As you can see, there's nothing around this one, and I think it's called the Sea Jack Scalia. And yeah, 400 feet, boys.
Awesome.
Sorry, where is it? Where's the curve?
Where's that curvature? Big shout out to Free-Minded.
I mean, you can't even see it. You cannot. Honestly, I couldn't even see it. I just guessed. I said it's around here somewhere because I couldn't see it with my eyes from this point. It was only when I zoomed in with a P900. You cannot see it. I think I go in again. I think I'll just do a panoramic just to show you where I am. And I mean, this is just brilliant. You see this all the time, especially I've been down many times to Cleveland and seen boats at 12, 15, 20 miles away. You just see it all the time. But from St. Bees, it's just fantastic because you've got all these wind farms that are 30 miles away and you've got these boats going to tend them. So,
Ranty, can I just ask you, there's a question from chat aimed at Nathan, but you're better answering it. Says to Nathan, but Ranty, I want you to respond. How about providing some real flat earth proof that can't be explained any other way? Ranty, obviously, isn't getting this. So do the maths for him, show him how far it is, show him how far behind the curve it's supposed to be, and then maybe he'll understand it, but possibly not. But can you show him why this should not be seen?
Okay, so the Sea Jack Scalia at 9:20 gave a GPS coordinate saying it was in this location here, which was just next to the wind farms. There's the what wind farms is it? Oh, I can't remember what they're called now. There's a set of wind farms here. There's another one here, and there's one there as well.
Dudden. Are they Dudden?
West of Dudden, no.
Anyway, the distance is?
The distance was 29 miles. It says it here, 28.98 miles. This was his exact location. This is where I took the image. This is where I'm filming from, basically. I'm looking down towards the wind farms that here. This is the ones that Miles Davis was referencing in his video. This was where the Sea Jack Scalia was. There's some images of the Sea Jack Scalia. Very identifiable boat with the four very prominent masts on it. I mean, how often do you see a boat that looks like this? It's not something that you do see, but you can see it clearly in the video. Look at this, 1, 2. I mean, that's not normal, but you do see 4 of them as it plays through. And the curvature calcs say that should be, look, where are we? Where's the curvature calcs on this? So distance 29 miles, view of feet 4, refracted hidden this is with refraction, should be basically 397 feet. Hidden, just without any refraction, 470 feet. And the drop should be 560. So basically, the height of Blackpool Tower. So we've got Blackpool Tower that we were showing before, and that's the height that it should be beyond the curve, 470 feet, give or take. And
that real Arwen. How you doing, Arwen?
Hey, hello.
Good to have you. So yeah, it's 540 feet drop, therefore it's being loomed up 540 feet. So to answer your question, what was saying that can't be explained any other way? Well, yeah, they've co-opted the explanation to convince people like you that you live on a sphere using mathematics. That's it. So yeah, you can accept the mathematical explanation if you choose to, that this is accountable by saying that it's being loomed up 500 feet to meet your eye line on the horizon. It's nonsense, but you can accept that if you choose to. The bottom line is we're saying, yeah, there's a band of refraction that sits on the horizon on a flat plane and does distort the image, but it's certainly not being loomed up, because when you model refraction, the effect that looms things up from beyond the curve 540 feet, it doesn't actually show any of the effects of refraction. In your models, it all seems to perfectly scale when you bring it back from beyond the curve, hundreds and hundreds of feet in varying different drop values. It all seems to meet your eye line in perfect symmetry, unless it's actually on the horizon, in which case you do get a negligible amount of distortion. But you still have to accept the fact that in your explanation, things that you would assume you have a direct line of sight with, i.e. the tops of a mountain, you don't. It's not really where you think it is. It's appearing somewhere else. Well, that is a nonsense explanation, which you're welcome to accept.
It can't be being loomed and miraged at the same time, because what we are seeing here is we're seeing a little bit of miraging going on just here. You can see it in the boat. I mean, that's the top part of the boat is there, and there's the front part, but you can see it just starting to be miraged here. So it can't be being loomed up and then miraged on itself as well. That's impossible.
So basically, was it 28 miles?
29 miles.
29 miles, and according to the geometric calculators that provide us with the geometry, plus the refraction, if you want to add an extra 7.6R on top of it, was this thing should be way behind the curvature of the Earth, right? I hope you understand that. It isn't. We can see it. So there has to be an explanation that includes it not being behind no curve. So I don't think Woz is actually going to get it. I don't think the penny's going to drop. But 28 miles away, Woz. How is that possible unless the Earth's flat?
I think what he's saying is he wants something that is unequivocally unexplainable on a globe. It's like they've had 500 years to co-opt all the explanations for this stuff, and that's what we're starting to expose. How close, but not perfect.
Why is that not the observation that explains it? How tall's the boat? What, 100 feet?
Yeah, but you're missing the point. The point is that you've just gone to the maths to show how they account for it, which means they can account for it. But you have to accept that it's being loomed up 540 feet from a drop. So it's literally it's back to this same old stuff that I went over and over and over in the debate with the Isle of Man. So we've got a 190-foot wall in the way. So it's 540 feet below your feet. So you can't physically see it. It's not really there. This is an optical illusion of something that isn't physically there, that's being loomed up and then miraged down upon itself on the horizon. You know, that's what you have to accept to believe you live on a sphere. Now, I'm not saying that that's unacceptable, because they've got the maths pegged. They know how to get the maths pretty close. You know, it's only when you get down to the really finite details, like we did with the Isle of Man, that you show that it doesn't work perfectly. So then you offer an alternative. Well, the alternative is you take a straight line to it, and it does work perfectly. So that's your choice. Accept that you can just see it, and you can take a straight line of sight to it, or accept that you can't see it, it's not really there, there's a wall in the way, and it's 540 feet below your feet, and it's being loomed up to meet your eye line on the horizon. You know, you can accept all that if you want to, but that doesn't mean that they can't account for it. And I think what he's asking for is, show me something that they can't account for.
Just two things to respond. One, a shout out to the Ham and all the guys listening in the office in the place where the Ham works. I know he's got an office full listening on their headphones, so shout out to the Ham and his workmates. But secondly, Ranty Sly says, how was that? He says, is that boat supposed to be 28 miles away? How was it ranged? For the benefit of Sly, that's not been keeping up to date with the flat Earth debate, Ranty, would you show Sly how you established how far away that boat was?
Okay, so on the date in question, the time in question, 0920 on the 5th of February 2018, we have the Sea Jack Scally. I think I'll zoom in actually on the video, which is here next to the wind farms. Oh no, I don't zoom in on it, unfortunately. Oh yes, I do. There it is. Sea Jack's Scalia. There it is. This is what it looks like. This is the Sea Jack Scalia. This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like, and that's what we see in the video. So it is that boat. So knowing that its GPS coordinate at the time that I filmed it was here, and I know where these wind farms are, the Walney Phase 2, the Walney, I was able to triangulate it to 29 miles away here using maps.
So to answer your question, Sly, it was emitting a GPS pulse at the time that Ranty's found out where it was at the time, and obviously a straight line to it tells, not a curved line, Sly, not an arc calculation, a straight line to it tells us the distance was 28 miles or 29 miles away.
There's no point saying that to Sly. Sly doesn't understand that part of his own model.
So to answer your question, we've got an accurate distance for how far away it actually was at the time, which is a bit of a problem, Sly. I'd like to see how you can explain that away with straight lines or curved lines, because none of them make sense. So was, Sly, can't have this on this doesn't exist on a ball. Cannot see this.
So we have approximately half an hour left on this live stream. A little bit of debating from the chat. Chop chop. If you want to join, make sure you mute the watch page before you do so. And be sure not to swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. If you'd like to support this channel, as lots of people have done, thank you very, very much to all of you guys. Really, really appreciate it. But if you do want to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and a link in the info box below this video once it has rendered. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please, please share the show. And if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. As I say, there is approximately 30 minutes left on this live stream.
Ranty,
yo,
you respond to Sly in chat. He says, not to be deliberately argumentative, but the screen cap is basically useless as it cannot be verified that it was made at the time of the photo. Fair. Okay. So how can you prove to Sly that...
Well, there's a 17-minute video that I put up yesterday. It explains everything. If he wants to go and watch that, it'll answer everything that he needs.
No, but show him why it's contemporaneous.
What do you mean?
Well, he's saying that the screen cap is basically useless as it cannot be verified that it was made at the time of the photo. So basically, show the timestamp on the screen cap of the GPS, and then show the bit at the beginning where you asked me what time it was.
Yeah, it's in the video. It's all in the video. Everything's up there. It's all laid out.
Verbalise it though, Ranty. Just tell us now.
What do you want me to tell you? That the boat itself sent a GPS saying that it was in that location where I was filming it at that exact time. It looks like the boat. It smells like the boat. It is the boat. You know, there's no other boat that looks like that in that location.
All right, I think the answer to Sly's question is at the beginning of the video, Sly. He asked me what time is it, not knowing what he was about, not knowing what he was about to capture, and I looked at my phone and I said it's 9:07 or whatever it was.
It was 9:07, yeah.
So 9:07 was the time at the time of the film recording, and Ranty's managed to on that day look on that day at that time and see what was pulsing in that area from GPS positions, and he found that's how he found the boat. So that the fact that he was able to identify the boat is the contemporaneous proof that it was at the time. Because if we didn't have that contemporaneous proof, then we wouldn't know that's what the boat was called. Because how would you find an unusual looking boat that looks like that unless you knew its name, and the name come from the GPS tracker, which he was able to find because he had the time and the date of the recording, and that's how we managed to find it. So that proves contemporaneousness.
Yeah. Also, I also displayed the image prior to the video and the image after the video, with the GPS and timestamp on that, along with your verification of the time when we were actually filming it. So yeah, it was pretty easy to find the boat itself, and it was a very weird looking boat. I mean, you have to say that. I mean, we thought it looked like a pirate boat. Do you remember?
Yeah.
We looked at it because it had like weird prongs coming out of it. It was it didn't look like a normal boat. And to be fair, how often do you see a boat that looks like that Sea Jack's Skillier? It's very weird looking vessel for sure.
Typo Brahe, you looking at your watch and saying it's 9:07 is anecdotal evidence. Well, not really, because we didn't know what we didn't know what I mean. We didn't know what we were going to be looking at until we got back home. But we needed a timestamp to be able to check it on tracker. So the purpose of saying what time it was so that we could track and locate the boat. So if you don't accept that me saying the time at the time and it just so happened to match with the GPS, if Typo Brahe doesn't accept that, then it's Typo that's got an issue because it corroborates the GPS. If you don't like it, tough.
Can I be a pain in the ass, Ranty? Now we've got Arwin. Hopefully he'll pipe up in a sec. But any chance you can put some of those sunset images up again and just let Arwin cast his eye over them, and hopefully he'll give us some refraction details. We'll see. Are you there, Arwin? Can you hear us? No, he's running away. When he comes back, if you would, I'm hoping that he'll look at it and go, these are bands of refraction, these are this, that, and the other. I don't know, he might just look at it and go, I don't know, it's very pretty though, who knows? But he's not here at the moment.
It's actually quite nice just to come in and display some of this stuff without having the trolls in.
Yeah, I'm amazed.
You know, because it is great flat earth proof. All of this, Blackpool Tower, the boats, Isle of Man.
See, this is the benefit of having a flat earth friendly hangout where people that are in flat earth can present their views on the shape of the earth, and it's flat earth friendly. If you go and try and do this in any other hangout, like for example Earth Discussions or even on Discord, you don't get a word out. You get laughed at, ridiculed, and literally rejected on the basis of science consensus, which is essentially the problem with Steve McRae's hangout. That was based on a scientific consensus. But at least you can come here and you can present your stuff like the guy did from Ireland looking over to Isle of Man. You can present your stuff and leave it open to the people to look at it and see what they think about it. And then people can come back and say what they think about it, and you get your answers. If you think it's flat earth proof, then it gives you the answers. If you are wondering how strong it is, like which is what my position was, then you get your answers. People pay attention to it and attack it. And that's the name of the game. That's why this hangout's great. So if you're a flat earther and you've got evidence that you want to present, come on and show it and let's see it and let's see what people say about it.
Yeah, it's one of those interesting points that Rumpus brought up all the claims that we made in terms of this image. And essentially when you presented it, you presented it to be debunked, to be questioned, to be scrutinised. So, yeah, you've got to assert your position in terms of what the evidence leads you to believe at the time that you're doing it. And that's what the ongoing debate demonstrated. You can see the full journey of how this got scrutinised and how we've got to the stage that we're at. But Rumpus wants to hold that against us, which is fine, you know, that's him in opposition to us, that's what they'll do. But ultimately speaking, we would present something and go, debunk it, show us how it's wrong. And that's the whole point, so that you get to the truth. You actually find out what is reality, rather than what you assume is reality, or what reality seems to be based on zooming in and out on Google Earth.
With response to Woz, he asked for something that was like unexplainable in any other way, and we've just shown you a boat at 28 miles, 29 miles away, Woz, and you claim that that's not enough proof. There is too much more. Well, okay, Woz, I look forward to you debunking this. So either get your ass on the panel and show us where it goes wrong, or do a response video so that we can discuss it and challenge it. But if you don't think that seeing a boat at 29 miles away on a flat plane is enough, then I'd like to see you explain it on a flat plane, because not even Sly will touch this. Sly will just dismiss this and no, I'm not getting involved in that, because he doesn't want to explain it. He'll claim that it's because he's more interested in other things, but the reality is no boat should be seen 28 miles away if the Earth's a ball. They'll have dropped behind the curve. They'll have disappeared from the bottom up every single time. But as we can repeatedly show, Blackpool, anywhere around that Blackpool North Sea area, which is it's connected to the Atlantic Ocean, it's not a sea in isolation. It has got sea all the way to the ocean. Then we can show that it's flat as a pancake. Is it just a coincidence? Maybe. Maybe there's other places that have, maybe Pontchartrain catches all that curvature that we don't get, and it all focuses on Pontchartrain. But nonetheless, we're seeing 28, 29, 30-mile observations regularly, and it's flat as a pancake.
Yeah, but we're not the only ones doing this. There are other people throughout the whole of the UK. There's some great flat earthers out there doing brilliant observations. Just have a look for them. Just go on YouTube and find them. You'll see that they're seeing 20, 30 miles all the time. And even Del, Beyond the Imaginary Curve, he went out and he's done a lot of 40, 50 mile observations as well. You know, so shout out to everybody that's doing these stuff, because it is, I mean, you've got one guy, Soundly, that's apparently showing curve. Utter tosh.
He's not though, is he? Because if he was showing curve, all of the other claims would validate up and support Soundly's observation. But nobody's doing it other than him. Everybody else is showing that there is flatness everywhere. And this isn't me, this isn't Nathan, this isn't Ranty, this is everybody. There's a lot of people going out and showing that there is no curve local to where they live, within a few miles of where they live. Now, if you accept that Kansas is as flat as a pancake and that 5 other states claim to be as flatter than Kansas, and then you realize that the abyssal plains, which is the bottom of the seas and the oceans, are fundamentally flat. Okay, there is the Mariana Trench in the Pacific, but the abyssal plains are flat. Then you end up with a lot of flatness there that needs to be compensated somewhere by the oblateness of this spheroid that we're supposed to live on. And when you add all these things up, you're talking about a huge mass there. The oceans are 70% of the Earth, and the abyssal plains of the oceans are flat. The land that sits on top of it, Kansas, 5 other states, is flat. North Sea around Ireland, flat. Around the Isle of Man, flat. Thailand, Nick in Phuket, he's finding it to be flat over in Thailand. There's people in Australia, for example, he knows the road that travels 90 odd miles and it doesn't vary in altitude by more than, I can't remember the exact figure, but fundamentally it's flat. And in his own country, that's it. I mean, this is everywhere. So all these things, when you add them all together, that curve's got to come into it somewhere. And on a world scale, we're not seeing the curvature. Yet Sly will go out and do a top of mountains thing and claim that there's curve there. And I look at that and think, nah, that's just to do with scale, dude. And I didn't even respond to that particular video, but fundamentally, there is no curve. We should all be seeing it, and we should all be supporting Soundly and verifying Soundly's observation if his observation is in fact curvature. We look at Soundly and think that all he's showing is refraction. He's showing refraction, and he's doing it over and over again, but he thinks it's curvature. He's telling all you lot it's curvature, and you lot all accept it because you're all, well, believers. But
well, no, I think there's a lot of people waking up. I think even the ballers deep down know that they're probably losing this argument, and they don't want to admit it to themselves. They have this little voice in the back of the head saying, I cannot now come out as a flat earther. But the more evidence that's being showed them, sooner or later it is going to get through their dense skulls, and they will understand that it is actually flat. And then they'll probably go and do some observations of themselves and say, do you know what? I kind of now agree. Because if they went and bought a P900 or just any decent camera with a bit of zoom on it, they'd see it for themselves. Just go to where they live, somewhere that's a lake, just have a look, see, you know, and they'll see that it's flat.
Or anywhere.
Yeah,
literally anywhere.
You said any picture is not real. I think you was trying to explain it to me a couple of days ago.
Well, every picture that you have that's got anything beyond the horizon in shot, it's all being loomed up. So it's all in a different position to you're actually seeing it. So it just means if you can zoom to what is technically the horizon and still see stuff, if you believe you're on a globe, none of it's really there. It's all in a totally different place. It's all being loomed up from further and further beyond the curve. Well, I would say the opposite. In reality, every single photography shot ever in history is a flat earth photograph. And if you've got a zoom on your camera, it doesn't matter where you take the picture from. I was going to say, do you remember the video A Mountain of Evidence? The guy went up to the top of a mountain, you know, he's got no flat surfaces anywhere near him, and he was able to prove that the earth was flat.
Sorry, just interrupting here. David C. James in chat says he has a 75-mile observation of Langkawi from Penang. Should be 600 foot behind the horizon. Bristol Channel is as flat as a pancake as well. Why don't you come in and show us this observation?
Yeah, I'd love to see that. Awesome.
Yeah,
absolutely awesome.
Yeah, you just join the chat. Just click the link in the description.
Have you published it, David? If you have, let us know your channel name. If it is David C. James, then great. I'll sub to you as soon as the show's over, and I'll have a look.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a look now. Oh, he's got a P900, I think. I think he has a P900.
Of course he has. Sponsor of the Flat Earth.
Awesome. It looks like he's got a fair few videos out there.
Well, give him a plug.
I'm going to stick him right now.
Share screens, Ranty. We might as well give him a plug.
Yeah. Well, look.
Subscribe now to David C. James.
There we go. David C. James. Here we are. I'm sharing my screen if you want to present. This is all his videos. He's got 112 subs at the minute. It appears this is the observation he's talking about, which is the flat ocean Penang to Langkawi. 75 miles, part 2. So there must be a part 1, but it's only had 25 views. This is how they are censoring us, because something like this should be headline news, really. It looks like he's been doing quite a lot of work.
Can you tell us from the chat if we're okay to play it? I'd love to play it.
I'd love to play it too.
See if he says yes. If so, we'll play it now. We've got about a quarter of an hour left, maybe a bit longer.
Let's see. I'll find it again now.
By the way, guys, I have devised a theory that could actually save the globe and the curvature, but I'm not gonna explain it unless 100 million euros appears on my bank account. I'm not even gonna write it down. Just saying.
There we go. That's pretty cool.
No idea what it is though. Without him here to tell us.
Well, that's true. I'd love him to come in and tell us what we're actually seeing here, but obviously we've got that
details in the info
layer.
box. Maybe it says.
Sorry?
Maybe it says in the info box, or gives a summary at the end. Who knows?
Northwest ridge of Langkawi was visible every day, 75 miles. I was there. Gunungaya, the main and closest peak at 68.2 miles, was only visible once in 10 days. We'll have to check all this out and see where it is. See how much of the peak finder we're getting. Cool.
Yeah, you'll have to join. Tell us all about it. But yeah, hopefully
yeah,
get a few more subs. What was his channel
videos.
name again, Ranty? What was the David C. James? There you go.
David C. James, there we go.
Subscribe to David. Got some
I'll
excellent flat Earth observations. Now I'm going to be I'm going to keep you on screen, Ranty, if you can. Can you bring up your in the last 10 minutes? I'm hoping if Arwin's still with us, he'll have a look at your sunset pictures and tell us what he thinks.
Where is it? There we go.
About Ranty's image?
Yeah, if you click on Ranty's face.
Yeah, I'm watching.
This is some sunset images from St. Bees. I think Nathan wanted you to have a look at them.
No, not the bees again.
Not the bees. But yeah, do you see the like bands of refraction that are going through the sun, Arwin? I just wanted your take on it. What do you think of it?
Okay. Well, the sun disk, the holographic sun disk, is very. Whoa! What the? Okay. That is very odd. But yeah, the sun disk, it's an apparent disk. It moves literally in the horizon at the set distance at the edge of our vision, or the vision of the camera. In this case, the wobbling parts of that disk are due to the variety in air density thanks to the cloud moisture that surrounds that very specific location. And I think that is causing that distortion, local distortion. What I find even more odd is that I can basically see the further down horizon through the sun. Do you see it?
Yeah, sure. There's a black line, right?
Yes. Now that is astounding.
Seriously cool, eh?
That is amazing.
Yeah, Ranty catches some fantastic images on his P900, but yet when he does his phone work, It's just awful. It's just like it's totally shaky cam, you know. But then you see stuff like this and you're like, all is forgiven, Ranty Man, you're amazing.
If you want these images, Arwin, I can upload them to the Google Drive if you want.
Could be nice. I'm especially interested in learning more about well, the horizon after that point, because it is, when I take a look at that image, you definitely do see like the edge of the water being the first perspective line, right? And it seems that the sun is going right behind that, and that is very interesting, because that might reveal something about the nature of the holographic globe of the heavens as to where they actually are.
You see this yellow part at the top? I'm assuming that is actually the sun, but then it goes in a straight line here, so that's clearly not part of the sun, and the same on this side as well. So do you think the sun is sort of like there, and all this puffed up stuff here is not really the sun? This is just some kind of atmospherics lensing, something like that.
Well, it is an apparent disk, so it is like a disk of light that appears like a disk in that location, and whatever is surrounding it may be able to distort it for the observer. So it's none of it is there, not really. It's just light that appears to come from there and shows itself to us like a disk.
But you see in this next image, this was taken probably 30 seconds afterwards. This seems smaller now.
Hey Alan, how you doing?
Good morning, boys.
Hello, Alan.
Hello, Alan B. I'm definitely more fascinated by the consistency of that line there. That is really amazing. That dark line that is over there, because it's in a very specific location right there. It does seem to indicate that that is like the far off maximum distance to where you could see if it wasn't as dark around the sun. It's just I'm seeing the horizon, the far off, the second horizon, the far distant horizon through the sun here. It's just blowing my mind.
Well, I'll upload these to my Google Drive, and I'll give you access to that if you want.
You should really compare all these images and just see if that black line is at that same consistent height. Because it's the only very, very clear contrasting black line there with the rest. The rest seem to be more gradient.
What do you see is this here? What's this reflection in the clouds here?
Where?
You see the brightness up here? It looks very localized.
Well, you have to take into account that something weird is happening now. The universal direction of the light. Yeah, it's very funny. The universal direction of the light is now coming from within the Earth. It's moving upwards from where, yeah, the focal point of the sun is now going beneath the actual Earth. So I guess that may create this type of phenomena where you get this weird local lighting.
Well, that's it. I mean,
it's like a lamp shining upwards, starting to get covered up, as it were.
Well, shouldn't the whole sky be lit up if we were looking at a sun 93 million miles away? Wouldn't you expect all the clouds to be lit up?
Yeah, but I think that let's just say the universal direction of the sunlight is in relation a local phenomena. Because, hey, where the sun is in relation to the observer, it differs wherever you are. It's just to you, it is a universal direction. And that's, I guess, why these lighting ups of the clouds would appear to be much more local. it does kind of reveal that it's not a huge ball of gas, a multitude of times larger than the Earth in the far distance. That's for sure. But yeah, the same thing goes even for the basic reflection of the sun on the ocean every time. We see this image on the flat Earth debates every day.
I've just thought of something.
It's just a basic reflection.
You see this reflection here? It's very small, but in the later images, as the sun is going further away, it stretches and gets larger this way, which would indicate that it's moving away rather than down.
No.
Look here, it's very small. But if that sun is going away from us, then
no, it's
this
like
reflection
a lamp
is going to come here.
The lamp is getting covered up by the Earth because it's moving into the land, as it were.
You what?
What?
I don't know who said that, but
both
anyway,
of us we're both in a stunned amazement at what you just said.
Yeah, I know it's very hard to explain, but I can definitely assure you that the sun is not moving away in the distance, because the consistency of its path and the speed of its movement indicates that it's not moving into the distance, just as a train moving into the distance towards the horizon, in accordance to the observer, would appear to slow down, and the sun's path does not slow down. It moves at a consistent angular speed. It moves into the horizon because it's an optical disc. It's not an object hovering over the flat Earth.
Right, I see what you mean now.
So yeah, that's why I keep saying it. It's sorry, guys. It's just the sun, for whatever magnificence you thought it was, it just moves into the horizon. Just bloop, goes into the Earth. And with that, the Earth starts to cover up the light from, well, let's just say, let's just trigger some ballers. From, it covers up the light source from the extra dimension. And that's what probably causes this.
Good stuff. Well, glad I got to hear your take on it, Erwin. Always interesting.
Yeah, I think I need to explain it like at least 20 times more before it starts to come out better. Still a bit jumbly, but I'm getting there.
Okay, if you're there, dude, join the panel. Let's talk about the video. Al's saying that he did put the evidence of the 26.5 degrees calculated or measured diopter angle in the video, but I didn't see it. I didn't see it anywhere. I looked for it twice and I couldn't see it. And he says he's in the table at the end of the video. He references it, but he doesn't. As far as I could see, there is no reference to it in the actual evidence. So it appears that he's done what Miles has done, which is claim that the water was at a certain point and then not show where the water was. It seems that Al K has claimed 26.5 degrees for the measured angle and then not shown the evidence. He says he has. Perhaps I've made a mistake. Perhaps I've missed it. But I'd like to know where that actual evidence is, Al. So if you have a timestamp for the point where you claimed it, I'd like to just post it and let me just reconsider my position. But I looked twice for it and I couldn't see where that evidence was. You said you were going to walk down the cliff or down the hill, measure the with a tape down to the thing, and then do the diopter. You walked down the hill, and then you stood on the bit that I thought you were going to get the tape out and measure it from, but then walked past it to some arbitrary point in the background and didn't do what you said you were going to do in the video. I didn't see any evidence of the measured angle at 26.5. If the 26.5 is the angle that you're citing, that wasn't from the concrete mound. You were supposed to be measuring the height of the hill from the concrete manhole. You didn't do that.
I just Anthony, sorry to interrupt you. I just want to show my my little video that I did when we got there, just from
trying
before.
to get this folk is watching shot 5 to 12.
5 to 12. High tide is at, what is it, 12:15. So Miles is a lying sack of shit then. Because look at this. There's no fucking way that's anywhere near what he said. It's much higher.
Now, as you can see,
And this isn't even at a high tide yet.
we're not quite at high tide. Just get it to a point where it stops.
Yeah. So we're here at.
That's it. Yes, that was all it.
Yeah, but the point.
So this is the rock he measured, right? You probably can't see unless you're watching on the watch page, I'm afraid, guys. But there you go. So when he stuck in his arbitrary 3 feet, saying that that rock was below sea level, nah, just total nonsense. And Miles Davis went at the highest tide of the week, Al. The highest tide. Could have gone at lower tides, but he didn't. He went at the highest tide. So there you're seeing it, what, 20 minutes, maybe a little bit more, I can't remember, before high tide, and that rock is submerged. I noticed your video was done very, very early in the morning. I've no idea what relation to the tide you had at the time, but where you climbed down in that video that I just showed, you would have been wet. So, yeah, anyway.
Oh, I'm actually getting a compliment by Tim Osman. Weird.
Compliment from Tim Osman? What do you mean?
Just look in chat.
I can't see Tim Osman in there. Tim Osman. Oh, that's going to be a fake Tim Osman.
Huh?
There's a fake. There's loads of people who fake Tim Osman. He's probably the most socked account out there. People just nick his name and go around being like a flat earther Tim Osman, and you know. So you can't ever guarantee it's Tim Osman.
I just want to respond to Darkstar in the chat. He says he's messaged LK saying, "Don't bother joining. They snipe you when you start to beat them in the debate. After they finish shouting at you, that is." Right, so when we met LK, we didn't shout at him, we didn't snipe him, we didn't throw him off the cliff, and we didn't nick his equipment. We actually took him for a butty, coffee, cake, and we had a chat. So we're not all that bad. So putting stuff out like that is totally wrong, because we aren't like that. You treat us nice, we treat you nice.
I did consider lending my inhaler, you know, the asthma inhaler to him, because it looked like he was about to die. He did recover eventually.
I think he was just shocked that he'd he'd been recognised. That's what it was.
No, he was shitting himself. He wasn't shocked.
Well, to be fair, if I'd been in his position, at the side of a hill with a grand's worth of equipment on the side, you know, ready to be pushed off, and two guys come up behind you, and you know who they are, and you've had disagreements with them in the past, you are going to be a little bit nervous.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd be the same. I would be the same.
That was the reason why I wanted to confront him, because I wanted him to realise that although we disagree and do it vehemently, that ultimately I'm not going to start throwing punches, because it can get really quickly personal. And I wanted him to see that it wouldn't get personal, and we shook hands straight away, and everything was fine.
Yeah.
And with that, I'm going to say, first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for joining this debate and making this debate possible. Also, a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you've not done so already, be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.